Now, to further analyze this is Khalil Wali. He is an associate infrastructure and energy desk at Cardinal Stone. He joins us now via Zoom. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Wali.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
Now, looking at this report, the bi-monthly market survey carried out by Nairametrics, revealing that the cost of filling cooking gas surged to yet another level across the various markets in Lagos State. Refilling a 12.5 kg cylinder cooking gas increased by 25%, that's to 10,000 naira compared to the 8,000 naira. Of course, the 8,000 naira was already a source of complaint by Nigerians. Nigerians were already, complaining about the fact that 8,000 naira was too much. And now another hike to 10,000 naira. What would you attribute this shortage in supply to?
Thank you for the question. The recent surge we've been seeing in gas prices more or less speaks to the structural issues we have. We have a heavy reliance on imports. We produce less than 40% locally. And if you look at on the imports leg, imports have been plagued by a lot of issues. A pair of issues actually, including number one, the global supply chain disruptions. We've seen that affect prices of commodity globally. And as a follow-up to this, we've seen increase in freight cost. Also, that's adding some markup basically to the price of domestic gas. And thirdly, for us is also the fact that we are not seeing these goods come into our market. So typically, when there is scarcity, we find that distributors will likely want to increase this price and take advantage of this scarcity. So those are really three main issues causing this surge in domestic price of local gas.
Yes, but looking at the fact that we're still having scarcity and a shortage in the supply of gas, some people have said it is as a result of delayed vessels. What exactly does this mean, the delayed vessels? Can you hear me, Khalil?
Yes.
Yes, some people have attributed this scarcity to delayed vessels. One of the stakeholders in the region talked about the fact that they have to wait for days for the vessels, and eventually when they get released, they're really not up to sufficient levels. What exactly is going on here?
As I mentioned earlier, it's not a Nigerian thing actually. We've seen global supply chain disruptions, and from the start of the pandemic, which was accentuated by the Ukraine-Russian war. It's something we are experiencing globally. Of course, there's a Nigerian led to it. We don't have inefficient, wholesale and distribution system that is also delaying these vessels. We have issues of, accessing FX, for the guys bringing it in, and everything is just cascading to the gas shortages, the vessel delays that we are seeing at the moment.
But yes, let's talk about the Russia-Ukraine war that you just mentioned. The fact that Russia is the second, distributor, largest distributor of, oil, especially of natural gas actually in the world. And this is also leading to the fact that the increase in the price of oil we're not really getting the advantage of the increase in the price of crude oil, which is selling above $100 now. What exactly can be done to ensure that Nigeria leverages on these advantages?
Thank you very much. Just before we go into oil, I'll just like to touch on gas one more time. You'll find that we have the 8th largest gas reserve in the world, and we are here to try to import gas. It shows that we have a lot of domestic issues we have to face to guarantee, gas availability security. We have issues around gas pipeline shortages, processing facilities are not up to scratch. To really enhance this reserve, although the government is trying to do a couple of stuff, with this recent PIA passed, they try to raise the base price, the floor price of gas. They try to increase it a little bit. Maybe that will incentivize investment in this sector. Secondly, we are seeing some private investment also coming into the market. But the truth is that these things have, a typically wide gestation period, 3 to 5 years before they can even bring a processing facility up to speed. For example, this anode gas plant, which is which is co-founded by Seplat and AGPC. We have the NLG 27 that was commissioned last year. The final investment decision was made on it about 2 years now. But before we start to see the benefits of this investment, it will take some time. Now moving to the oil leg, as you said, oil price has been nearly at an
above
historic high, basically
$100.
above $100. So the start of the year, but sadly we are hearing news that the NNPC is failing to even manage to remit some funds into the account. It just shows that the elephant in the room, what we've been talking about now for the past couple of years, which is fuel subsidies, keep it into our account. For example, I mean, everything has gone up. We are here talking about gas prices. Everyone is feeling the impact of inflation. But due to government policy, the socialist policy we have, particularly on fuel, we've been able to keep that price down. But it is coming at a dead cost of subsidy. They passed about 4 trillion naira for 2022 subsidy, which just shows that it's a mammoth amount, and someone has to bear the burden of that. Sadly, it's the NNPC and of course the federal government accounts.
Yes, but the way you talk about, getting this product refined, especially when we talk about crude oil, we know that this has affected every other, byproduct of crude oil, like the aviation fuel. Those in that sector have been complaining about the fact that the prices have been increasing, and this has also affected every other sector. But what do you think can be done, especially when it comes to production? Even if our refineries get to work right now and we start producing, would we be able to meet up with the demand, especially in the country?
Well, yes, I believe that when we can bring our refineries up to speed, of course that will guarantee product availability, product security in the country. But the truth is that even if we are able to meet up with the demand, the cost will still be there. The only cost that will change for us, it is the freight cost that takes us to bring fuel from other parts of the world to Nigeria.
But wouldn't that make it, sorry to butt in, wouldn't that make a big difference, the fact that we don't have to import the product?
Well, will that make a difference? Definitely yes. But if you look at the cost breakdown, the cost element, the freight cost, the port cost and some admin charges just make up about just 5%, 5 to 10% of the cost of the product. So, I mean, and what we are hearing now, the landing cost is north of 300 naira. So if you just get 30 naira off that, people will still be paying about 50% more than what the fuel price is at the moment. So it is.
So what exactly is responsible for the hike? If eventually we begin to refine the product, and you're saying that won't make so much difference, so what exactly will make the huge difference that Nigerians need? Khalil. All right, we'll get back to Khalil talking about the increase in the price of 12.5 kg gas. And of course, in every sector, this price has affected every other sector. It has affected transportation, it has affected aviation fuel, it has affected so many things, and has made livelihood of Nigerians more difficult. And these are some of the issues we're talking about today, especially as we focus on this report released by Nairametrics, looking at different markets in Nigeria, especially the 4 major markets that they reviewed, looking at the prices of cooking gas. And these are some of the issues that need to be addressed, especially when we look at the fact that Nigeria is a crude oil producing country. How can we leverage on this and ensure that we are able to refine the product and make it available for every Nigerian? We would be joining Khalil Wakil. Khalil, are you back with us?
Yes, I am here.
All right. Please go ahead with your thoughts.
Okay. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, even if we bring our refineries up to speed, on the fuel price front, it will not make so much of a difference, because this price cost component constitutes just about 5 to 10% of the price, the true price of the likes of PMS, which is petrol. However, on the gas front, it will make so much, because one of the key issues the major issue that is really causing this recent surge, basically the price of domestic LPG, is due to things that are linked to importation, the likes of freight costs, the likes of global supply chain shortages and things like that. So I believe that earlier, there is no hard and fast rule about this. There's no quick, we can't just.
Okay, of course, there is no hard and fast rule about it, but we have to take some baby steps, especially when it comes to, getting our refineries to work. Some people have even advised that the federal government sells these refineries to people, stakeholders, who would be able to maybe manage them and ensure that maybe they are privatized in some kind of way. But the truth is, if we privatize these refineries, what is the assurance that what happened with the power sector won't repeat itself in the refineries, and getting, would it go into the hands of the cronies and allies of the federal government, and then in the end it's like using or robbing Peter to pay Paul, and then we're not getting the dividend of or the benefit of having these refineries. We have 4 refineries in Nigeria, and we're still having to grapple with the fact that Nigeria cannot boast of refining its own petrol, cannot boast of refining its own aviation fuel, cooking gas, kerosene, and all of the byproducts of crude oil. Well, we'll take a break now. Khalil, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Oh, thank goodness. So let's go ahead with the thought. Let's talk about the fact that some of these products, you were talking about the refining capacity of Nigeria vis-a-vis the impact it would have on the price of cooking gas. Let's land on that thought, and then we'll take it further.
All right, all right. As I was mentioning earlier, like for the for the fuel price, the likes of PMS, it's already made so much. But for gas prices, if you look at what's the surge in prices, it's majorly linked to import. So if you can cut that out of the way, you may see a huge plunge in the price of gas, and that will be very beneficial for us. But these processing facilities, have a long gestation period before they come together and they can start pushing gas to our pipelines.
Yeah, they do have a long gestation period, but what about the modular refineries, which do not take as long as the regular refineries would take? The federal government has been mouthing getting these modular refineries to work, especially in different, oil-producing states. Why can't we get that to work?
Well, for modular refineries, we say they are modular, we say they are small for a reason, but still, they still require a lot of investment, and they require both, a large contribution or a large, basically for the government and the private sector, basically to work together to get this across board. So it's not entirely in the hands of the government. You need people that really believe in Nigeria to invest, in Nigeria, and also be able to push those things out. We have a couple that are working now. They are able to push this one into the country now. But the truth is, if we keep regulating the price of petrol, it will always chase people that really want to invest in that sector. Because for anybody, you don't want to keep producing while having your prices capped. Meanwhile, your costs will keep going up. So we need to first have a policy change that will really incentivize investment into the sector, and then we can now start to go from there.
Funny enough, the diesel and cooking gas and the like have been deregulated, but we don't seem to be reaping any benefit from the deregulation. Are we, Khalil?
Well, yeah. Yeah. So on that front, the truth is that the prices of energy for us at this moment, it's not something that is Nigeria centric, it's global. And for the average Nigerian man, I can imagine how tough it is to grapple with this effect. But the truth is, it's not Nigeria centric, and we may just have to wait and see how this plays out.